Hello, hello. Well, we are, as a household, finally back to the world of the living. Apparently, you know, we're all okay. We've had this horrible cold thing, but it's hit a few of us worse than others. And I felt like after a week I was getting over it, and I had a couple of days where I weren't too bad, and then whew, it hit me like a train again. And we've all had COVID tests, and we're all clear, so it's definitely just this other cold virus. And then on top of that, my poor little nephew was rushed into hospital on Saturday. So I had a few things on Saturday and Sunday to deal with. So I'm sorry I haven't really been about, but everything seems to be, touch wood, okay right now. So I'm back to a video. And sorry I'm a bit blue. I have just washed my hands to try and start this afresh, but I've been playing this morning and yesterday, and I just wanted to have a little show you what I've been doing. Sorry, I'm kind of with it, but not quite. So basically we're going to make some stencils with our hot glue gun, and this is not a new thing at all. Lots and lots of people have done this. We used to do it at college with our students. So this has been around for a really long time. I'm just going to give you a few tips for how I am doing mine and how I'm making sure that my workflow is quite smooth. So the first thing is I have a huge glue gun, but it's really much better to use a smaller one. Fine tip glue guns would obviously be even better, but you do need a bit of thickness to your glue. So this one is fine, and this is just a cheap Hobbycraft one for like £5, and you will go through quite a bit of glue. So my first tip is make sure you have your glue sticks ready to keep adding, because the worst thing is if you're halfway through something and you run out of glue, and then you have to scrub around to try and find your glue sticks. So make sure you've got your glue sticks good and ready to add. Now you can do this on a glass board, it works fine. It is a little bit more tricky to pull up your stencil. You can add a little bit of alcohol spray to your board before you put your glue down, but that's quite strong smelling, so you know it's not ideal. This is the best thing to make your stencil on, because it's so easy to peel it off because you've got the movement of the heat proof mat. Mine is not an official one, it's a cookery one. It was just a couple of pounds off Amazon, and yes, it's tatty, but it's lasted me quite a long time. So that's tip number 2. You know, this is the best kind of mat to use. The third thing is, if you are not confident literally just drawing with your glue gun, if you have a Stabilo awl, make sure it's sharpened. But what is a great idea is you can draw something, whatever you want. I'm just going to do a few lines, and obviously you're not necessarily going to follow this spot on, but it really helps if you're just not that confident with your glue gun. Okay, so my glue gun is nice and hot. I'm going to have a glue stick ready here. I'm just going to wipe off that excess glue, and what you need to do is move fairly slowly. If you have too thin a line of glue, you're going to have trouble with your stencil. It could break. It will last a lot longer if you've got a thicker line. So I'm just going to fold that in, and I'm just going to slowly move my glue gun while I'm squeezing around what I have drawn. It's always best to move, if you're right-handed, to move from left to right, because you'll kind of indent the glue. You need to make sure all of your lines meet. So make sure you are, and this is where my glue is now running out, so I'm going to put a new one in. So don't try and rush it. You know, the glue is going to dry, but that's obviously what we want. Try not to go over glue you've already laid down until it's dry. What I do at the end is anywhere I think is a bit thin, I will go over it again. It's easier to go up and down than it is to go from up, down, up. It's easier to go in this direction. I'm just going to come back here, that's a little bit thin. Okay, I've got another little thin bit here. I think most of that's okay. And now I'm just going to do my lines going down, but you need to make sure you're pushing in to that previous glue line to make sure there is no gap. And these stencils will last you a while, so you should get quite a lot of use out of them. So I've missed here, so I'm just going to fill in to make sure that is joined, and I'm going to do the same here. Make sure there's a nice join where you've got lines that come together. Okay, I'm probably going to just speed this last little bit up. I'm just going to come along that line a little bit more because that's quite thin there, and then I'm going to join. Once you've done your whole design, when it starts to dry, it's going to go obviously a little bit more white, and you can easily see the areas that you need to just add a little blob of glue to, where it's a bit too thin, for example, or it might not have joined completely. You can also go over some of the lines, that's not a problem at all. I've got a big gap here. And if you're not happy with something, it's easy to just fill in, and scissors will actually help at the end because we can cut out some of the areas and these strings. They're quite easy to remove. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. Now I'm going to talk about that Stabilo awl and the effect that might have later in a moment, but for now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a kind of freehand design. Okay, the other thing that I have done several of are circles, so I'm just going to do a few circles because I kind of like them, and I've got a few, so I'm going to add to my circle stencil collection. You just need to make sure all of your lines meet and you don't have any kind of any that are not attached, because they're not going to be as stable and your stencils just won't last as long. Right, I'm going to leave that for now. Now, this is my first one, and obviously these ones are not quite as dry yet, so you can see it's just so easy to peel your stencil off. Okay, so first thing is just grab a wipe. The Stabilo awl will come off very, very easily. Now what you want to do is, I actually used a little bit of alcohol ink on the back of mine, but I did remove as much of that Stabilo awl off the back of the stencil as I possibly could. The reason being, it will actually transfer to your paper if you're using a wet spray like I'm going to, And then what you can do is just go round and cut off all of those little strings. Some of them will pull out fairly easily. You don't have to be too worried about how neat the stencil is, because obviously this is a very organic kind of stencil and you're not going to get a perfect, it's not like a purchase stencil. So if that's the kind of thing you're expecting, it's not what you're going to get. I did some leaves, they worked quite well, but the only problem was I didn't make them very thick. So they're all broken now. They're no longer leaf stencils. I don't know if I can see them in the bin. These are these are some of the other stencils that I have used and not made them quite thick enough. So I'm going to have a problem here, so I'm just going to fill that one in as well very quickly. And there's a little gap here. Right, so that one I'm going to put aside. This one I'm going to peel off too. So that's a pretty cool little design. That one I'm just going to leave on there for a moment. It's so easy to pick off all your pieces. So just try and cool that a little bit. I haven't got one of those little cooling things. I wish I did. But I just want this off the mat because I need it for the second part. Okay. There we go, it's as easy as that. And then we have 3 very unique stencils. Nobody are going to have a stencil exactly like this, so you're good to go. Not going to get, it's going to be difficult to ink through here. They work great on a jelly plate as long as you're using the flat surface. So you can put your paint down on your jelly plate, put your print in, and you're good to go. As you can see on this one already, I've noticed I've got a little thin bit. I didn't go over that very well, so that one is going to be a little bit of an issue, but as long as I'm careful with it, it still will last several uses. So let's grab a sheet. This is just a piece of cartridge paper. It's nothing special. I've got some water. I'm going to give it a quick spray, but a light spray. Now I'm going to add my square stencil that we've made, and I'm also going to add one of my circles that I made earlier because I've done several circles. And let's also add, now I think I'm going to do that one last, another one of my circles. Okay, so we've got our stencils are down now. Okay, I'm going to hope that the iPad is going to last. Okay, the stencils are down. Now I'm going to start with a lighter colour, and I am going to be using, let me think, I've got my blue sprays out because I'm already covered in blue. So I'm going to start with salvaged patina, and I'm just going to give a light spray. Need a new one of these. I'm also going to, I've got another video coming on when these are starting to run out. Now, the one thing you have to remember is you cannot use your heat tool while your stencils are down. But out of this, I'm going to get 2 background papers. So I'm going to take a second sheet, gently lay it over the top. And this is not going to be perfect, but what you are going to get is you're going to get the pattern of the ink on the top of that stencil. You'll also, if you push it into your holes, you'll get some of the pickup from inside there too. That's the Stabilo all that I've got on my fingers. And I'm just going to gently remove that. And that is what we've got so far. Now I should be able to remove this, and I'm just going to chuck it straight on top of that second background piece we've started. And now I'm going to give this a dry. Now it's... And this is where you can see where I still had some of that Stabilo all. Obviously over time it will wear off, but... Okay, so this is dry enough. I'm going to go back in. I'm going to put this one here. I've got this one that I made too. I'm going to put that down. And then another circle which was slightly small. I'm going to put that down, and this time I'm going to use a slightly darker one. I'm going to use broken china. And again, I'm going to take my background sheet and lay it down and just pick up some of that excess ink. That's already looking pretty cool. I'm going to take these off. And give this a dry. Okay, now I'm going to use my little patterned piece there, and I'm actually going to use, should I use, yeah, I'm going to use my prize ribbon. Okay. Yep, that'll be. Okay, I'm loving this piece. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab that, put a little bit more ink down on the edge, and I'm going to do the same with this where I haven't quite caught all of that ink. Okay. Right, another dry. Okay, now finally what I'm going to do, just move that aside a moment, I'm going to grab my water spray and I'm just going to add some water to this edge. I'm also going to give those a wipe to get some of that last ink off those. Dip those into the water. I mean, all you have to do is pop these in a little container with some water on and you'll get most of that off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and just drag those edges into that ink. I'm going to do the same with this one. Now, got another piece of paper here, so I'm just going to pick it up. I'm not going to waste it. That's another cool page. So now I am going to just get rid of the last of this. And I'm just going to dry them for the final, well, just going to dry them again. Okay, so now we have some oxide on this particular one. So I'm just going to take advantage of that and add a few drops of water. I'm also going to add a few to this as well because there's quite a lot of oxide on here. We may as well activate that. Oh, that's the glue gun. I'm just going to unplug that actually. So I'm going to give this a quick dry. Okay, I mean, that's quite interesting. It's just, you know, our homemade stencils and some ink. And we'll call that one kind of done for now. This one, we can still add to this. So what I'd like to do is, this is quite a large scribble stencil I made. So I'm going to add that. And then a couple of the circle stencils to the corner. So I'm going to go in with salvaged patina oxide, a little bit of that, and then I'm going to use some of this fast drying Seth Apter. I have no idea what this is called, turquoise. Okay. Now, I'm not going to use that piece that I've been working on. I'm going to start another piece. I mean, some of these are actually more interesting than the pieces we actually create. I just love these pick-up pieces. Oh, move my stencil there. So just take these off. I'm going to use some of this to pick up and cover that corner. By no means are these finished pieces, but they are fantastic starters for backgrounds. They'd make great journal pages if you're going to make an art journal, because this is one that I made before, and that's the other one. They're just kind of fantastic backgrounds. They're really simple, a lot of fun, and you know, you can just do so much with them. Like I said, I actually like this as my favourite of this little session. But just have some fun with your hot glue and a few sheets of paper and some ink. You know, it's just, they're so simple to make. So if you store them flat in a tin, maybe something like that, they will last quite a long time. And you can, like I said, stick them in a little pot of clear water to just clean them up, or you wipe them over with a baby wipe. They're so easy to look after. So if you want to clean them at all. I didn't clean them yesterday. I don't really know why I'm cleaning them now. Anyway, I hope you're all well, and please, if you have this cold thing that's going around, stay at home, don't spread it around. Yeah, so anyway, have some fun, get out your hot glue, get out some paper and some ink, and just see what you can come up with. These, you know, you can come up with some really nice abstract designs. So that's it for today. I've got a few more videos coming and ideas that I wanted to have worked on over the last week and haven't had the chance. So I will be back fairly soon. Take care and see you soon. Bye.